Hey, we're back for part two of this teaching about Israel and the Gentiles, how Israel was elect and how they were going to bless the Gentiles. Okay, so we just finished up in Deuteronomy 15, and now we're going to go to Deuteronomy 28. Deuteronomy 28 is just, I mean, it's just like awesome beyond compare. Okay, so we're going to start in verse 7. I'll take a little drink of water. I just love these Bible studies. I mean, it's just so amazing. Okay, I hope you guys are loving it too. For the Lord will cause your enemies who rise up against you to be defeated before you, and they shall come out against you one way and shall flee before you 7 ways. Okay, so I made a couple notes. So Israel, when they're walking the plan that God has, so remember we just saw back in Deuteronomy 15 the magnificence of the plan. You're gonna finance the entire world, and you guys are going to teach nation after nation how to follow God, and you're going to be the premier nation in the entire world, and they're going to come begging to you to show them how to do it. Okay, so one of the things going to be an aspect of you. You're going to be militarily undefeatable. I mean, get that in your mind. Militarily undefeatable. That's what God is saying. It doesn't matter what nation comes against you; they'll come against you one way, and they're going to leave 7 ways. They're going to be so incredibly defeated. They'll just spread out and just run wherever they can run to get away from you. Okay, militarily undefeatable. Okay, verse 8: the Lord will command the blessing upon you in your barns and all that you have your hand to, and He will bless you in the land to which the Lord gives you. Well, that's incredibly prosperous. He says, I'm going to prosper you. You're going to be incredibly prosperous. Okay, that's a great promise. Everybody get in line for that one. Okay, verse 9. And the Lord will establish you as a holy people to Himself, as He swore to you, if you keep the commandments of the Lord your God and walk in His ways. A holy people. So that's going to be your reputation. Oh my gosh, these guys are holy. I mean, they're just incredibly holy. You can't even believe how holy they are. Okay, so and in that way they're going to be spiritually powerful. And we're gonna see further on in this lesson what it means to be spiritually powerful. That means those other gods. And it happened in Egypt too. So Egypt had these gods, and all of a sudden the plagues come, and it says in the Bible that God, He went to war against these under gods that were ruling over Egypt, and God defeated every one of them. And His people were held up as, whoa, we can't mess with these guys anymore. Well, it's going to get bigger than that once they establish themselves as a nation and God blesses them. Okay, they'll be militarily undefeatable, they'll be prosperous, just incredibly prosperous, and then they're going to be holy. So they're going to be priests of the nations. And people say, hey, you want to talk to God? You want to know what God's all about? You got to talk to these people. They're just so holy. Okay, so then we're going to go to verse 10. Okay, so all the peoples of the earth shall see that you are called by the name of the Lord, and they will be afraid of you. Okay, so this is a unique identity. These are the people of the Lord. Now, this is also where the church should be. And you see the same thing. The church should be in this place right here, where people say, those people walk around with the name of the Lord, and that just makes them crazy, over the top, powerful, and holy too. It should be holy too. Church should be understood as holy. There's some churches out there that are giving the Lord's church a bad name because they're not holy. Okay, so anyway, but that's not the Lord's plan. The Lord's plan is for to be holy. Okay, verse 11. And the Lord will make you abound in prosperity, in the offspring of your body, in the offspring of your beasts, and in the produce of your ground, in the land which the Lord swore to your fathers to give you. So we're talking about prosperity again, but this is over the top. This is over the top. Not only you have money, but you have kids all over the place. I mean, your kids will be everywhere. Okay, so I mean, we just had the 7, and that would have been nothing back then. You should have had 14, 15 kids, and that would be a good start right there. And that's how God wants to bless people. Okay, so it's over the top of abundant prosperity. Verse 13. And the Lord shall make you the head and not the tail, and you shall only be above, and you shall not be underneath. And you will listen to the commandments of the Lord your God, which I charge you today to observe them carefully. Well, this is political talk. You don't think politics is in the Bible. It's right here, and this is big time politics. You're going to be over the top of every nation. See, we're back into the national talk, nations talk. Okay, you're going to be over the top of every nation. You will not be underneath any nation. You'll be over the top. Okay, so this is the same kind of language that they were loaning to people. Okay, and they were not going to be borrowing. But this is more than that. This is in every way politically. You're going to be over the top. See what I mean when it says like a superpower? These guys are going to be a superpower that put America to shame. I mean, we're some of those things, but we've been some of those things. We're not in our golden years now. I mean, we've made some really stupid mistakes in the last few years. I mean, stupid mistakes. Okay, that's really bringing us down in the eyes of the world. And so we don't carry that prestige that maybe we carried back in the day. But and so we're kind of walking away from that calling. Okay, so the last thing. Um, 14 says, but do not turn aside from any of the words which I command you today to the right or to left, or go after other gods to serve them. Now, this other gods to serve them, see, this is the key to the whole thing. This is the key to the whole thing. God is the one God over Israel at this time. And what he plans to do is a God thing. Is that he's going to be the God of their nation, and every other nation is going to know that they are the God nation, the nation who's real God. But they have their own undergods, but he ain't nothing compared to the God of Israel. And so that's how it's going to play out. The God over Israel takes care of Israel in such a way that everybody will want to be taken care of by the same God. And we're going to see that. So, so I'm going to look at some historical evidence. So historically, David as a king had to respect and even friendships with the nations that surrounded them, the kings and the nations that surrounded David. He had a good relationship with them. They respected him. They had a working relationship, and by the time he turned it over to his son, there were kings that were willing to pitch in and help Solomon get done what he had to do. Okay, so David was respected, but Solomon, because of what happened to him, that goes over the top of what David was. David was a man with blood on his hands. And God said, you can't build my temple. You can't be my spiritual leader. You can't be the one that does it. Because you just too much blood, too much killing, too much warfare. Okay, we need a peaceful man. And that's a picture of Jesus. Jesus can come and conquer through peace more than you can conquer through bullets. And there's a whole bunch of people in the top of our country need to learn that. You can learn a lot more. I mean, you can help and save a lot more people with your love and your care than you can with your bullets. And so God said, I need a man of peace to do this. So he chose Solomon. Okay, and we're going to see Solomon was no saint. Okay, we got that. Okay, but there was a point where he was doing everything, and he provided an example of what was supposed to happen. So we're going to look at this example. Now that if we extrapolate this example, we can see how God was going to make this work. So if we go to 1 Kings chapter 10, starting at verse 1, it's the story of the Queen of Sheba. Now the Queen of Sheba heard about the fame of Solomon concerning the name of the Lord. Okay, so his fame is not separated from the fact that he's being influenced by the name of the Lord. And so this is truly a spiritual thing. I mean, people know that they're prosperous, but they also know that it's tied very tightly to the name of the Lord. So she came to test him with difficult questions. Okay, she wants to know, hey, you can't be the only one. I mean, this Lord thing, this name of the Lord thing isn't just for you, is it? So she came with some serious questions. Okay, so she came to Jerusalem when she had a lot of money, but then when she came to Solomon, she spoke with him about all that was in her heart. Okay. Now I'm supposing, because I'm seeing from some of this, seeing through the things that were in here, that she was a ruler that really cared about her people. I mean, truly cared about her people. You don't see that very often, but she did. She cared about her people, and so she was there to learn from Solomon to go home and bless her people. That's what this was about. Okay, so this is it's happening now. Just what God said was going to happen. I'm going to make you prosperous. We're going to make you the head and not the tail. We're going to make you undefeatable. We're going to all these things, and people are going to wake up and go, "Whoa, wait a minute! I got to know about this." Okay. In verse 3, Solomon answered all her questions. Nothing was hidden from the king, which he did not explain to her. She got the information she needed straight from God by his spirit through the king and the wisdom that he gave the king. Okay? I mean, this is humbling and sobering right here. That he had the answers to all the questions that she had. There was not, well, I don't know. No. This is exactly what God wanted to happen. He wanted the nations to come to Israel, wanted them to see, wanted them to hear, wanted them to learn, wanted them to feel, and it was going to change them, intrinsically change them to the place where, well, what we got's not like this. We want what you got. And God knew that's what he was doing. He's creating a hunger. He's creating a hunger, and he was going to fill that hunger with what's here. So to finish the story, 4 through 9. So when the Queen of Sheba perceived all the wisdom of Solomon, the house that he had built, the food of his table, the seating of his servants. See, she's watching the servants. How a man treats his servants is a big thing. It shows where his heart really is. Okay, the attendance of his waiters, and their attire, his cupbearers, she's looking at his staff. How's he treating his staff? And there's a lot of people that don't treat their staff very well. I mean, they just put them down. But she's known that these are all exalted. These are all happy to be his servants. Okay, and then his stairway by which he went up to the house of the Lord. Okay, he had kind of his own private way, and she says, this guy's close to God. I mean, he's not just camping out here and showing up to church on Sunday. No, he's got his own private thing where he can get right to God right now. And she said, that's what I want. I want a piece of that. Okay. There was no more spirit in her. Her own personal human spirit was so put down that now she had no worth in the eyes of God in presenting herself to God. She's not coming to God with any kind of pride. She's coming to God fully humbled. This is what this means. She saw all this stuff and how all this was working, how he was treating the lowest people in his kingdom, and how he had personal access to God. She was totally impressed. She was totally impressed. Okay. So then she said to the king, it was a true report which I heard in my own land about your words and your wisdom. Okay. Nevertheless, I did not believe the reports until I came and my eyes have seen it. And behold, the half of which was not told me. There's nobody can really say what's really going on here. You exceed in wisdom and prosperity the report which I heard. Okay, so it's over the top. It's over the top. Now I'm close to it. Your God has put you over the top. How blessed are your men, how blessed are your servants who stand before you continually and hear your wisdom. All the wisdom that just comes out of your mouth. Oh, this is so, and Jesus said, hey, greater than Solomon is right here in front of you guys. You're not catching it, okay? So blessed be the Lord your God, who's delighted to set you on the throne of Israel, because the Lord loved Israel, okay? I hope the Lord can love us that way. Here's what happened. Therefore, he made you king to do what? To get rich? To have fun? No. To do justice and righteousness. So she had the key. She understood the key. The key to the whole thing was, can you get a ruler to do justice and righteousness? When you put a man in power, well, that's what we be humble enough to do justice and righteousness. And she said, that's where I want to be. I want to take your place. I want to be so close to God that I can have all this stuff, but that doesn't mean anything, because my main thing is I want to do justice and righteousness. And I'm sure things are out of control in our own hometown. I'm sure it's totally out of control. So here we are. So the language of prosperity and righteousness and ruling speaks to the principle of Proverbs 29:2. So we're going to look at that right now. Proverbs 29:2. When the righteous rule, the people rejoice. And when the wicked man rules, the people groan. Okay? So that's universal. So righteousness of a nation changes the people. They're either rejoicing and happy about life, or they are groaning under the oppression of it. And most of the countries of the world, that's where people are. They groan under the oppression of it. Very few places in the world do people rejoice because they're being ruled righteously. And today I can say honestly that I don't rejoice over what's going on in our government. I don't rejoice at all. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff to be oppressed about. So, okay. So anyway, so there's other things going on in this passage too. Let's see, I lost my place. Here we go. So see also 29:4, the king gives stability to the land by justice. Okay. So the culture becomes stable when there's true justice that happens. But a man who takes bribes overthrows it. Okay, the opposite just tears it down. Okay, so we got some of that going on today too. So the king gives stability by justice. Okay, then 14. If a king judges the poor with truth, his throne will be established forever. What does that really mean? Okay, I'm going to tell you something. Okay, if you do what's right on the earth, what God does, He has every intention of making that last a good long time, maybe past this life even. So you may not understand what I just said, but this is what this says. Man judges the poor with truth. His throne, I mean his position in society, will be established forever. So he will be a person that takes care of people forever. Get that? Okay, and that's what we're looking at in the church. What we develop into becomes a forever kind of thing. Okay, so where are we at? Okay, so Psalm 33:12. Okay, get close to winding this up. Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord. That's where it's going. As all these nations, one by one. Okay, Israel's right here. I was to say the next one, Sheba. Okay, they come in, and then Syria, Damascus comes in. Maybe Egypt comes in, and maybe Jordan comes in, and maybe Libya comes in. Okay, maybe up farther up above Syria, they start coming in. Maybe it gets over to Pakistan, India, they come in. Maybe it goes on up to the Black Sea, and those people come in. Okay, God's intention is to take over the entire world. And so as each one, and when I did my study on 2 Chronicles 7:14, I looked at the nations that have claimed the God of the Bible as Lord. I think I came into like 90 some. There's 90 some that have been established on the face of the earth. 90 some nations have declared God of the Bible is their Lord. So blessed is that nation's God is Lord. Yeah, God's getting it done. I mean, it's getting done slow but sure, but it's getting done. There are nations that call our God, the God of the Bible, as their God of their nation. And see, what's happened was they've had to throw out the God of the nation they had and bring the God, our God, into that position of God of that nation. And that's happened. Yep. So, blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord. Then we're going to look at 13:15. So here's something people didn't know right back in. And so this is it. The Lord looks down from heaven. He sees all the sons of men. That means everywhere. That means we go down to Mexico. I've been to Mexico. I've been to Japan. Peeked into Canada a little bit. Been to Germany. Okay. Wherever you go, there's people, and those people God cares about. It says He looks from heaven. He sees all the sons of men. From His dwelling place, He looks out on all the inhabitants of the earth. He who fashions the hearts of them all. Okay? Each one of them has a heart that God has personally fashioned. I mean, that's going to blow your mind once you got hold of it. Okay? And then He who understands all their works, how it is they work, how their brain works, how their body works, how their emotions work. He understands every part of that. He looks at a human being very long. I don't know how long it takes, maybe 5 seconds. But got it. Okay. I know all about Him. Okay. And so, behold, the eye of the Lord is on those who fear Him. Okay. So in your circumstance, you may get so, hey, there's got to be a God out there, and I want to fear Him. That's the one. only one I want to fear. On those who hope is for his loving kindness, to deliver their soul from death and to keep them alive in famine. Our soul waits for the Lord. He is our help and our shield, because our heart rejoices in him. So when you do know the Lord, you got all that. All these promises right here, you got all that when you know the Lord. There's people who don't know, okay? And how will they ever know except you tell them, okay? For our heart rejoices in him, because we trust in his holy name. Okay, so that's part of it. Let thy loving kindness, O Lord, be upon us, according as we have hoped in you. And so this is the message to the nation. When the nation comes to you and say, hey, what makes you guys great? Okay, it's not Donald Trump, promise you that. No, that's right here. It's how we look to the Lord. Okay, and our peace and our comfort and our trust in the Lord. And I said, well, you guys can have that too. You can have it personally. So we're going to look into that when we look into the New Testament understanding of the same concept. How did the elect deal with the perishing? Okay, so where are we at? So Isaiah 26. We're going to look at Isaiah 26 real quick. So here's one of the things that people don't understand. Okay, we're gonna read it right here. At night my soul longs for you. Indeed, my spirit within me seeks thee diligently. For when the earth experiences your judgment, the inhabitants of the world learn righteousness. Okay, when you are serving God and your nation, whose God is the Lord, when you're serving him, you learn righteousness. And then as you learn righteousness, you become righteous yourself. This is God's plan for the Old Testament. Now he's your God of your nation, and now it's come home, and this comes you. Though the wicked, okay, and then there's another place, across the border, maybe another state, another county, maybe it's, maybe I could say something right now that'd be real funny, but I'm not going to say it. So there's another place. The wicked is shown favor, and he does not learn righteousness. He deals unjustly in a land of uprightness and does not perceive the majesty of the Lord. There's still a spiritual warfare going on. Okay, and there's a place where people are getting it, and the people are living in joy and happiness and righteousness. And there's another place where those people are not getting it, and they are oppressive. Okay, and that's a fact of life. Okay, and people start running to good things, and they run away from bad things. Okay, this is one thing you don't realize when you came. Let's just say you ran away from whatever Syria, and you ran to Israel, and you say, I want to move in here. There's a story in there about Ruth. Ruth came from Moab. Moab people, they were not to be trusted. Okay, they're not to be trusted. They got some really bad influences. But you let them come into the country, and after 10 generations in Israel, they would be allowed into the congregation of Israel, which means the religious community. But for 10 generations, they could not. They had to learn. They had to get that Moabite stuff outside of it. But once you were in, you were treated just like everybody else. And it said, in fact, there's another passage in the Bible that says you were loved as a neighbor. You were to be loved as a neighbor, even though you were alien, and everybody knew that you weren't part of Israel. You were to be treated fairly, justly, and you were to be loved. And so that changes a person quite a bit. If you go to the place where you know you're a stranger and you expect to be picked on, and you're not, and you're treated fairly with equal justice as to everybody else, and in fact they care about you, that changes everything. It changes everything. So you guys got to see a little bit about how God was going to get out there and change the world through Israel. But of course, you know that it all went south because Israel became so idolatrous and so immoral that they could not carry this banner anymore of being God's people. They could not carry it at all, even though they made some impact. God made a prophetic statement about, you guys are going to be rulers in the world. Okay, so I wrote down these names. If I can find them real quick. If you saw my notes, you go, wow, how do you even do that? Okay, Joseph, second highest to Pharaoh, helped him rule the land of Egypt. Daniel, right there with Nebuchadnezzar, helping him to rule the world. Mordecai, right there with Xerxes, helping him to rule the world. Okay, these are people from these are God's people, you know, imperfect as they were, but they knew who God was, and they used and God put them in a place where they were on top of the world. Okay, and God wants to do that again in other ways, that He's going to make good and righteous people over the people of the world, and they'll rejoice because of their witness for God. So this is the end of the Israel versus the nation study. How God was going to use Israel to bless the nations. That's the point. Bless the nations. Okay. So the next time you see me come on with this, it's going to be how God is using the church to bless the nations. So it's in a different kind of way, in one way, but it's the same in another. So I just want to end with a blessing on you. Just God bless you in your understanding. Open your mind to catch the magnificence of God's plan, and just mourn a little bit on how man tends to mess it up. So, okay, from Don to you, God bless. Bye.